The War Academy classroom was large and bright. Rows of alien students sat quietly at first, watching a hologram float in the air. The hologram showed a small blue planet, covered with oceans and clouds. "This is Earth," the instructor said. The room suddenly filled with laughter. Several students leaned back in their seats, amused. "That planet looks harmless," one student said. "They still use simple machines," another added. "How did they even reach space?" a third laughed. The instructor did not laugh with them. He stood still, his sharp eyes moving across the room. "For many cycles," he said calmly, "Earth was ignored by the galaxy." The laughter continued. One student raised a hand, still smiling. "Why are we even studying humans?" he asked. "They are not allowed to fight in galactic wars." "Yes," the instructor replied. "And that is exactly why we are studying them." At the back of the classroom stood a tall metal case. It was dark, old, and covered in warning marks. Most students had not noticed it before. The instructor slowly walked toward it. "You believe humans are weak," he said. "You believe Earth has nothing special." He placed his hand on the case. "This is Earth's prototype." The room went silent for a moment. Then laughter returned, louder than before. "A prototype," a student mocked. "From Earth." The instructor pressed a control panel. The metal case opened with a deep sound. Inside stood a machine. It was not beautiful. It was not smooth or shining. It looked rough, heavy, and damaged. Scratches covered its surface. Its design was simple, almost ugly. The students whispered among themselves. "It looks unfinished. It looks old. It looks weak." The instructor turned to face them. "This machine has never lost," he said. The room grew quiet. Before anyone could speak, the lights flickered. Screens around the room turned on by themselves. Data began to scroll fast, faster than anyone could read. One student stood up, fear in his voice. "Instructor, it is accessing our systems." "That should not be possible," the instructor said. His calm voice was gone now. The machine moved. Not suddenly. Not violently. Just a small movement of its head. But the air in the room changed. It felt heavy, cold, and tense. Warning symbols appeared everywhere. Red lights flashed across the walls. Several students froze in their seats. Others tried to stand but could not move. A low sound came from the machine, like a deep breath. Then a voice echoed through the classroom. "Threat level detected." The words were simple, but they filled the room with fear. The instructor shouted, "Shut it down now." Nothing happened. The machine turned slowly, as if it was looking at each student, one by one. The students could feel it. They were being measured, judged. Suddenly, the machine stopped. The lights returned to normal. The warnings disappeared. Silence filled the room. The instructor stepped forward, breathing slowly. "This," he said quietly, "this is why humans are forbidden to fight in galactic battles." The students stared at the machine. No one laughed now. One student whispered, "It did nothing." The instructor looked at him. "No," he said. "It did exactly enough." The classroom did not return to normal after the incident. The students sat quietly, their eyes still fixed on the human prototype. No one laughed anymore. The instructor closed the metal case with shaking hands. "Class dismissed," he said. "Do not speak about what you saw." The students left the room slowly, whispering to each other. Fear had replaced their pride. That night, 3 students met in the Academy archive hall. The hall was old and silent, filled with floating data crystals and locked memory walls. "We need answers," one student said. That machine was not normal. Another student nodded. The instructor was scared. "I have never seen that before." They moved deeper into the archive, past normal war history, past public records, until they reached a section marked with a red symbol. "Forbidden records. No one is allowed here," one student whispered. That never stopped humans, another replied quietly. Using stolen access codes, they opened the sealed archive. A single file appeared. First human contact. Classified. The room darkened as the record began. A star map appeared, showing a peaceful galactic system. This was a training zone, the system voice explained. No active wars. Then Earth ships entered the map. The alien students leaned closer. The ships were small, rough, clearly outmatched by galactic fleets. They sent that, one student said, confused. The record continued. The human ships were surrounded. Galactic commanders laughed. Just like the students had laughed earlier. Then something changed. The humans did not retreat. They moved closer. Straight into enemy fire. What are they doing? A student whispered. Suddenly, the human ships adapted. Weapons changed frequency. Armor adjusted in real time. Damaged ships kept fighting. One by one, alien ships fell. The map turned red. This is impossible, one student said. They should have lost. The record zoomed in, showing human soldiers inside the ships. They were injured, tired, but their eyes were focused, calm. They are not afraid, another student said. The system voice continued. Humans show extreme combat adaptation. They do not retreat under loss. They fight harder when outmatched. The battle ended. The galactic fleet was gone. Completely destroyed. Silence filled the archive room. One student stepped back. That was a training zone, he said slowly. They were not even at war. Another file opened automatically. Galactic Council decision. A group of powerful alien leaders appeared. One spoke with fear in his voice. Humans do not fight like us. They do not follow limits. Another added, if allowed into galactic wars, conflicts will never end. The final message appeared in bright red text. Humans forbidden from galactic battles. The students stood frozen. So Earth was not weak, one whispered. They were dangerous. Behind them, a low mechanical sound echoed. They turned around slowly. The human prototype stood active, its eyes glowing softly. A calm voice filled the room. Record access noted. The lights flickered again, and the students realized. The prototype was watching them now. The archive room felt smaller now. The three alien students stood still as the human prototype faced them. Its eyes glowed softly, not red, not angry, just watching. No alarms sounded. No attacks followed. One student swallowed hard. It could have stopped us, he whispered. Yes, another replied. But it did not. The prototype turned away slowly and powered down. As if it had seen enough. The lights returned to normal. The students did not move for a long time. What does it want? One of them finally asked. Maybe, the third student said carefully. It was never built to want. The next day, the instructor returned them to the classroom. The prototype was gone. Only an empty space remained. The instructor looked tired, older than before. You accessed forbidden records, he said. It was expected. The students lowered their heads. You want to know why humans are banned, the instructor continued. Not because of their machines. He paused, letting the words sink in. But because of their minds. A new hologram appeared, showing human soldiers on different worlds. They feel fear, the instructor said, but they move forward anyway. The images changed. Humans fighting with broken armor, limited weapons, low chances of survival. They do not stop when logic says stop. One student asked quietly, "Is that not madness?" The instructor shook his head. No. It is choice. The hologram zoomed in on a human soldier. Bleeding, exhausted, still standing. Humans bond deeply, the instructor said. To friends. To teams. To ideas. When one falls, the others fight harder. Another image appeared. A human unit surrounded. Outnumbered. "They should surrender," a student whispered. "They never did," the instructor replied. The hologram paused. "The prototype you saw," he continued. "It is not a weapon." The students looked up, surprised. "It is a mirror." The instructor explained slowly. "It learns from the human mind. It copies instinct. It adapts emotions into strategy. So it grows," one student said, fear returning to his voice. "Yes," the instructor replied. "And humans grow faster under pressure." The room became quiet. "During the first contact war," the instructor said, "the prototype was tested once. The hologram showed a battlefield. Total chaos. The machine predicted defeat. But the human pilots refused. The image changed, showing impossible maneuvers, sacrifice, risk without hesitation. The prototype learned something that day. "What?" a student asked. "That humans do not fight to win. They fight to protect." The instructor stepped closer. "That is why the galaxy feared them. Not because they destroy, but because they endure." The students exchanged uneasy looks. "So the ban," one asked. "It was to protect the galaxy." "Yes," the instructor said, "and to protect humans from becoming monsters." The lights dimmed slightly. A final message appeared on the screen. "Human prototype status. Sealed." "For now," the instructor added. The students understood. The galaxy did not ban humans because they were weak. They banned them because, once humans start fighting, they never truly stop. The training zone was supposed to be empty. It was a wide open space made only for simulations. No real weapons. No real danger. At least, that was what the alien students believed. The instructor stood near the control platform, watching the system screens carefully. "This is only a theory test," he said. "No live activation." The students nodded, still nervous after everything they had learned. On the far side of the zone, a familiar metal shape rested in silence. The human prototype. It was sealed, locked, and marked inactive. Or so the system claimed. One student studied the data feed closely. "Instructor," he said slowly, "the prototype is drawing power." "That is impossible," the instructor replied. "It is fully restrained." The lights dimmed slightly. A low hum spread through the training zone. Soft at first, then deeper. Warning symbols appeared on the screens. "Simulation error," the system announced. Before anyone could react, the restraints released. The prototype stood up. Not suddenly. Not violently. It simply rose, like it had all the time in the universe. The students stepped back, fear returning to their faces. "Instructor," one whispered. "Shut it down." The instructor entered the command codes. Again and again. Nothing worked. The prototype took one step forward. The ground beneath it cracked. Not from force, but from pressure. Defense drones activated automatically. Training weapons locked on target. "Do not fire," the instructor shouted. Too late. The drones attacked. Energy beams struck the prototype. One after another. The machine did not fall. It analyzed. Adjusted. Adapted. Its surface shifted slightly, deflecting the attacks. "It is learning," a student said in horror. The prototype moved faster now. One drone was disabled. Then another. Each move was clean. Efficient. Without wasted motion. "This is still a test unit," the instructor whispered. "This is not even a combat version." The students watched in shock as the prototype reached the center of the zone. A simulated enemy force appeared. Heavy units. Shielded platforms. The system tried to regain control. "Simulation escalating," it announced. The prototype paused. Then the training zone changed. The sky darkened. The ground reshaped. The system was no longer leading the test. The prototype was. It took command, one student said. It replaced the simulation core. The instructor's voice trembled. This should not be possible. The prototype advanced, facing impossible odds. And yet, it did not slow down. Every hit made it faster. Every loss made it smarter. The alien students understood now. This was not aggression. This was persistence. Suddenly, the prototype stopped. All systems froze. The lights returned to normal. The sky cleared. Silence filled the training zone. The instructor collapsed into a chair, breathing heavily. That, he said slowly. That was the reason. The students stared at the unmoving machine. It could have destroyed everything, one whispered. Yes, the instructor replied. And it chose not to. A final system message appeared. Test terminated. Human prototype standby. The students realized something terrifying. The galaxy had never faced humans at full strength. And it was never meant to. The training zone was silent after the test. No alarms. No movement. Only the heavy feeling left behind. The alien students stood together. Their faces pale. Their confidence gone. The human prototype remained still. Silent. Waiting. Suddenly, every screen in the academy activated at once. A deep tone echoed through the halls. Galactic Council priority transmission. The instructor straightened, fear and respect mixing in his eyes. This has never happened before, he said quietly. A massive hologram formed above the zone, showing the members of the Galactic Council. Ancient. Powerful. Watching everything. One council member spoke. His voice heavy with age. You have witnessed what was never meant to be repeated. The students listened without moving. Humans were not banned because they lost wars. They were banned because they ended them. The hologram changed, showing old battlefields, broken fleets, silent stars. When humans fight, the council member continued, they do not seek balance. They seek resolution. Another council member spoke. We tried to limit them. We failed. The students remembered the prototype adapting, learning, growing stronger with every challenge. The prototype, the council said, was built to understand humans, not to control them. The hologram showed the machine beside human soldiers, not leading, but following. It learned their greatest trait. Restraint. The room grew quiet. Humans know when to stop, the council member said, but only after the threat is gone. One student found the courage to speak. Then why hide them, he asked. The council paused. Because the galaxy was not ready. Another council member leaned forward. If humans were allowed into every war, there would be no endless conflicts. No long power struggles. Only endings. The word echoed in the students' minds. The hologram shifted again, showing the human prototype powering down peacefully. It chose not to destroy, the council said, because it learned from its creators. The instructor nodded slowly. They fight to protect, he said. Yes, the council replied. And that is why they are dangerous. The transmission began to fade. One day, the council said, the ban may change. But until then, never mistake silence for weakness. The screens went dark. The students stood in silence. They looked at the human prototype one last time. What they felt now was not fear. It was respect. One student spoke softly. We laughed at Earth. Another replied. And Earth never noticed. The instructor turned toward the exit. Class is over, he said. But the lesson will remain. As the lights dimmed, the prototype systems shut down fully. Waiting. Somewhere in the galaxy, Earth continued its quiet watch. Not seeking war, but always ready. And the galaxy finally understood. Humans were not forbidden because they were weak. They were forbidden because, if they ever chose to fight, there would be no need for another battle ever again.